Vintage Fire-King, Identification, Patterns, Types, and Value Guide. The Fire-King glassware is one of those designs in every household that reinforces the idea that we've all lived the same lives. In the 20th century, veteran cook show host Martha Stewart popularized Fire-King glass dinnerware, leading to a spike in sales and interest amongst collectors. Last month, May 2022, live auctioneers sold a Jade-ite set for $375 after valuing it at $100 to $150. How did this low-cost dinnerware become America's top pick for over 30 years? Do they still exist today? If yes, how can I identify one and attribute the right value to it? With the millions produced, it's easy to get overwhelmed as new collectors. However, you can find the answer in a collector's guide like Schiffer Book, or read this guide for a quick and comprehensive solution. History of Fire-King glassware. Fire-King glassware originated in the 1940s and was intended for everyday home use, hence its simple design. It was easily accessible for the average American, with grocery stores nearby. It is safe to say that the brand became so popular that Anchor Hawking's Fire-King collection sold over 25 million pieces in its first 6 years. The Anchor Hawking Company. Isaac J. Collins and E. B. Good launched the Hawking Glass Company in Lancaster, Ohio, USA, in 1905 to produce glassware. Per Zippia, the Friends bought the company with $8,000 and changed its name later to the Anchor Hawking Company. The company underwent several changes, including a fire in 1924 leading to its purchase of the Lancaster Glass Company. The new company created the innovative 15-mold machine 5 years later when the stock market crashed. Unlike the former machine, this one produced 90 pieces/minute. In 1931, Hawking Glass Company produced its first glass container following its acquisition of the Turner Glass Company. After dabbling in many products, including bakeware, cookware, and dishware, Anchor Hawking Company introduced the first Fire-King ware. Vintage Fire-King glass types. Fire-King became a household name with products like casserole dishes, tea sets, bowls, and containers. Anchor Hawking Company designed the pieces so every kitchenware could be a Fire-King model. With those many options available, we've compiled a list of the types of vintage Fire-King glassware. Fire-King pieces types. Depression glasses gained popularity in the 1930s after the Great Depression, and Hawking Glass Company started making them in 1937. Within 3 years, it spread to other dinnerware sets. Fire-King dishes. Having dishware without dishes is hard, but style is the most important aspect. Anchor Hawking's Fire-King dishes came in every form you can think of, from main course plates to teacup saucers. However, some series had limited styles, unlike others, such as Jade-ite, which had everything. Refrigerator dishes. Think of fancy Tupperware when you imagine the Fire-King refrigerator dishes. It wasn't plastic, but it was plain delicate glass either. This dish was made specifically to store food and reheat, but we don't recommend putting it into a microwave. Instead, you can scoop out your desired portion into the ovenware. Fire-King ball jug. When discussing the rarity of Anchor Hawking's Fireglass pieces, the ball jug tops the list. It's so unique that it sells for no less than $1,000 per estate sales. The serving jug is formed in a circle with intricate lines on the body and a funnel mouth for easy pouring. Also, its bottom has a flat round surface for stability when adding it to a dinner arrangement. While there are records of many colors made of this ball jug, only the Jade-ite model appears to remain in existence today. Fire-King bakeware and ovenware. True cooking enthusiasts know that there are types of glasses meant for different occasions. Anchor Hawking's made the Fire-King ovenware in different shapes and sizes with oven-proof glass to keep them heat-compatible. These include casserole dishes, pie pans, fish bowls and more. Fire-King mugs. While dinner sets include teacups, it isn't the same as the individually sold Anchor Hawking Fire-King mugs. They came in multiple designs, including colorways from amber hues to branded logos for souvenirs. Fire-King mugs were typically sold in 12 or 24 pieces per carton because they were meant for gifting. Fire-King nesting bowls. Even in modern dishware sale, nesting bowls remain one of the most elusive finds because it isn't in high demand like regular dinnerware. The vintage Fire-King nesting bowls are rare items, containing 4 pieces per set formed like a bird's nest. Each piece is about 1 to 2 inches smaller than the other, making them fit into themselves without being tight. A complete set is, of course, highly valuable. Vintage Fire-King identification. Fire-King glassware is categorized into 3 main styles. Opaque Fire-King kitchenware. White milk Fire-King glass with prints. Solid Fire-King glass. Each of these designs has a distinct surface and carving that makes them individually famous. Keep reading to learn how to identify the difference. Each style of Fire-King dinnerware had sub-designs causing some series to sell more than the others. You can't rely solely on the group division to determine the difference, as that'll be an incomplete grading system. Here are the popular patterns and their dates of production. Identification by patterns, colors and etchings. There are signs on the body through patterns and colors that can tell you what name your Fire-King glass had in its time and, by extension, pinpoint its production date. Here's a short list for you. Opaque Fire-King kitchenware, white milk Fire-King glass, solid Fire-King glass, Jade-ite anniversary, rose Alice, roseite blue, mosaic fish scale, azurite primrose, rainbow series, turquoise blue, meadow green shell, peach luster, pastel orange, floret, sheaves of wheat, forget-me-not, 3 bands wheat. Opaque kitchenware. Single solid colored opaque kitchenware was the most popular design introduced by the company in the 40s. The fact that they kept food warm and hidden from the public eye while being beautiful made them the preferred design. Anchor Hawking Company made these sets in different colors, but 3 stood out from the rest: pastel green, rose pink, and peach. Jade-ite series, pastel green, 1942 to 1956. These plain-colored borosilicate sets made in a seafoam/mint green shade became the #1 Anchor Hawking Company product. The opaque green glass got its name from the generic term used for items in that color, including beverage bottles for children and construction workers. It was easily accessible for commoners because the company gave it freely as promo pieces and used it in local business partnerships. Please note that you can't use Jade-ite and restaurantware interchangeably, as the former is part of a collection in the latter. The Jade-ite line was, however, famous for its restaurant use as it had every dish possible in its collection while being easy on the wallet. If it's a modern production, the Jade-ite dish would have a stick saying, "Made in China," underneath it. The reproduction company chose this marking method because it's easily removed, so it doesn't affect the glass. However, the 2000 attempt to reintroduce this famous restaurantware failed because it didn't pass the quality check. Roseite, rose pink. Anchor Hawking had a thing with making feminine counterparts for neutral, masculine-looking, best-selling series, so the roseite Fire-King line became the Jade-ite's wife. It's a creamy pink hue without patterns or embossments except for the H beneath the Anchor logo underneath. Azurite collection. Yet another counterpart to the best-selling Jade-ite line was the Azurite collection, made of the faintest blue shade. Unlike the green pastel, a common restaurantware, it was meant for home use. Turquoise blue collection. Surprisingly, the Fire-King line with the turquoise blue dishes and teacups weren't targeted at men or boys. Instead, they were made for the festive season, hence the bright hue. Peach luster, pastel orange. Unlike the Jade-ite series, this design had an iridescent overglaze that made it glow, and they were carved with intricate designs. The manufacturers produced the peach luster in crystal orange glass with a pastel overglaze. Unfortunately, their delicacy made them prone to chips, cracks, and even shattering at the slightest forced contact. So, only a few lasted until this century, making them extremely rare. Always wash peach luster with soft liquid and a sponge. Printed patterns on white glass. Anniversary rose set. The anniversary rose dishes with 2 rose flowers in the middle were the perfect gifts from husbands to their wives. Blue mosaic. As a tribute to the century before its production, Anchor-Hocking designed the blue mosaic pieces like the art of the 19th century. It fuses different shared blue squares into a neat circle, expanding into an explosion in the center of white milk glass. Primrose Set. The company made the Primrose design a limited edition of smooth plain white glasses painted with red and pink primroses on green leaves. If it looks familiar, it's because many manufacturers today have tried to recreate its magic, leading to excess reproductions. Meadow Green, 1968 to 1976, set. Like the Primrose design, the meadow green dishes had intricate detailing of linked leaves on the body drawn in a horizontal line. They were typically 5 leaves in a ratio of 3:2, with the 2 similar ones fitted inside the 3 similar ones. Floret Set. Much like the Primrose design, the florets were made of white milk glass with floral accents. However, it was marketed specifically to women and constituted tea sets. Forget-me-not. The Forget-me-not Fire-King had a drawing of the flower on a milky white glass. It had 5 petals per flower with a yellow center and green stem/leaves intertwined on the face, hence its name. Wheat Set. By now, you should guess the design on this dishware, wheat. The wheat pattern has the same hue as a golden field with silver highlights along the outline. Solid Glassware Collection. These designs differed from the opaque kitchenware in taking on more unique forms. Also, they had more variety in the design. Alice Set. Alice is another limited edition series that's easy to confuse because it came in 2 unique colors. First, it's important to note that it's a Jade-ite glass with intricate detailing on the body in the form of swirl bottoms and floral edges. It was designed as a tribute to ancient Chinese dishware. Sometimes, the Alice Jade-ite is called a Jane Ray variation, so take note. The other available color was Vitrock, a mix of blue and white, and it's even rarer than the Jade-ite shade. Fish Scale Set. Do you know how some fishes have beautiful scales that make you wonder how to recreate them into pieces of clothing? Well, Anchor-Hocking Fire-King made dishware with that pattern. The fish scale dishes had textured edges mimicking real-life scales. Rainbow Series Set. What do you get when customers start mixing and matching pieces from different series to form a set? The Rainbow Fire-King Collection, that's what. This series was the answer to a little bit of everything, as Anchor-Hocking made 6 solid vibrant colors per set. The colors in the set include red, orange, yellow, green, light blue, and cobalt. To please collectors who loved less bright shades, the company released the rainbow pastel variation of this set. Shell Plate Set. These plates got their names from the design, which took on a form of a shell. The edges were lined with gold trimmings, while the border had shelly ridges. Although the white color is the most popular, there were others. Sheaves of Wheat Set. Consumers so loved the wheat pattern that Anchor-Hocking Company made a Fire-King solid series with wheat sheaves. They had these sheaves embossed in a ring around the top of the dishware. 3-band Set. The 3 bands of solid glassware had 3 parallel rings on the edge of their dishes, be it saucers, bowls, or teacups. Identification by date. A simple way to determine the authenticity of an Anchor-Hocking Fire-King glass set is by confirming the alleged production date. The series lasted from 1942 to 1976, so anything with a production date earlier or later than that is inauthentic. Also, check out the table below for a comprehensive explanation of naming and dates. Identification by sign. Anchor-Hocking sign special pattern year Fire-King in block letters 1942 to 1945 Oven Fire-King where script writing C. 1945, C. 1948 Oven Fire-King glass in block letters 1945 to 1953 Oven Fire-King were made in U.S. A. Script lettering for Fire-King 1951 to 1960 Anchor-Hocking Oven Fire-King were made in U.S. A. Script lettering for Fire-King 1960, C. 1968 Anchor-Hocking Oven Fire-King Dinnerware made in U.S. A. Script lettering for Fire-King C. 1968 to 1974 Anchor Hawking Oven Fire-King Oven Proof Made in U.S. A. Script lettering for Fire-King C. 1975, C. 1976 Anchor Hawking Oven Fire-King Suburbia Oven Proof Made in U.S. A. Script lettering for Fire-King C. 1976, C. The Anchor Hawking Company inscribed an H underneath an anchor as its emblem, logo, and you can see this on the bottom of all its dishware. Alternatively, the Fire-King name is on the bottom without the logo. Towards the end of the company's reign, it switched to a removable sticker, making those pieces the hardest to identify by sign. Beware of reproductions. Ensure your Fire-King piece was hand-painted neatly by holding it to the light to find decals. Because it's supposed to be 46 years old in the least, it shouldn't have fresh gloss reflecting on your face. Also, apply the identification methods you've learned in this guide. Valuation of vintage Fire-King. As you've probably noticed by now, vintage Fire-King dishware is a common piece, making them hardly valuable. However, like with many other pre-21st century pieces, rare series sell at higher values than others. That said, you should know that sets sell higher than individual pieces, except for their rare designs. Evaluation by condition: how intact are the pieces in the set? As we've earlier noted, the Fire-King series in excellent condition is the top pick for obvious reasons. There's no point in buying vintage dishware if it's chipped, cracked, or broken, because it falls short on all fronts: looks, utility, and longevity. It's always best to buy these items physically to run your fingers along the body for cracks, chips, etchings, or any other foreign marks. The more intact the pieces, the higher their market value. Due to their fragile nature, it's unusual to find complete sets in excellent condition, so be careful with your pieces if you want to sell. Inspect the body thoroughly before buying from physical stores. If you're transacting online and can request a video, please do. Remember, though, that even after purchase, it's a delicate item that requires careful transportation. Pillow it with soft clothes, foam, or feathers to avoid damage. Evaluation by patterns: is your design common? Patterns are the highest defining factor for Anchor Hawking's Fire-King series because that's what makes them unique. Notable designs like the wheat pattern, floral prints on milk glasses, peach luster, and more are collectors' favorites. Apart from color outlook, particular dishware earns different values due to availability. For example, you'd find that dishes of a certain series are more coveted than their tea sets. It all depends on the market interaction. Laws of demand and supply also apply here. Pricing of Fire-King pieces. Knowing the factors that contribute to the value of a Fire-King glass piece is one thing, attributing the right price to it is another. First, you can invest in a collector's guide to help you with known pricing from 1942 to date. Then compare the value to today's market considering inflation and other factors. You can also buy collector books like Schiffer Book for Collectors by Joe Keller and David Ross, or any other publications, Fire-King, Information Guide, an Identification Price Guide, or try other authors. They're all available on Amazon Books. Parting words. Remember that Fire-King pieces were produced pre-technology, so handle your dishware with the utmost care. It's best to treat it like you're living in the 40s to 70s to avoid messing with its integrity. As new collectors, verifying your seller before paying for an item is always best. Research before you start. Check their ratings. Read reviews. Engage only verified profiles. Check the FAQs for where to buy and sell Fire-King. FAQs. Question: where can I buy Anchor Hawking's Fire-King dishware? A. Unlike the initial production era when you could walk into any grocery shop, hardware store, or gas station and find Fire-King glassware on the shelf or even win it for free, these days, you have to work harder for one. Search online retail stores, specifically those designated for antique and vintage pieces. Question: how can I clean my Fire-King pieces? A. Luckily for you, Fire-King glass is made of washable elements, so you can wash them with a regular liquid dishwasher and a soft foam. Do not put Fire-King kitchenware and dishware in the dishwasher and avoid using harsh detergent. Doing any of those two things will ruin your Fire-King ware, causing a sick glass with discoloration, scratches, or worse, breakage from pressure. Question: is Anchor glass different from Anchor hawking? We can see how that's confusing, but let's settle your worries. Yes, they're the same. It's just another way of saying the glassware was made by Anchor Hawking Company. Check the table above in the identification by data segment. In the same way, some Fire-King pieces have heat-proof written on the bottom. Again, this is not an automatic license to microwave your Jade-ite restaurant ware or another type of Fire-King that's not ovenware/bakeware. Question: where can I buy a Fire-King ware? Don't create problems for yourself by engaging unverified sellers online. Unless you're buying physically from a garage or estate sale, ensure you're buying from a recognized seller. Some websites you can engage in include live auctioneers, eBay, Etsy, and Amazon. Again, look for the checkmark or 4.5 stars for a perfect 5-star rating. Read the reviews underneath the ratings to ensure there are no problems you can't overlook.